Stardust, Chapter 33, Ashes and Temples. Breaking news. Nation holds its breath as national emergency declared and all air traffic is halted over northern United States and southern Canada. Observers at major air bases report massive mobilization of National Guard forces. No comment from government leads to many to assume the worst. Breaking news. North Dakota braces for a repeat of alien attack earlier in the month as multiple UFOs are spotted entering the atmosphere. Early predictions on UFO headings show no population centers as their destination, prompting a declaration of emergency in Canada. 7:10 p.m., May 22, 2015, Stardust Labs. The door to the Stardust Lab shot open and security personnel rushed in like a blue armored flood. Assault rifles swept the lab's testing area before locking onto Matt, Lena, and the subdued intruder. A pair of the soldiers produced zip ties and a head bag to secure the prisoner while another checked on the two guard corpses that the intruder had produced. "Lieutenant Harris, Corporal Jenkins, Sergeant Kimbley." One of the security officers introduced himself as he marched to face the two soldiers. If he noticed Matt's wince at the mention of his new rank, he didn't bring it up. "Commander Bradford wants you at the armory now. We'll drop you off while we escort the prisoner to holding. Unless there were any injuries, and where are the doctors? We were informed that Maura Valen was also present during the incident." The security sergeant gave Lena a sideways glance as she held an ice pack to the severe bruise on the side of her face. Lena waved her ice pack at the closed door of the habitat.
"Valen and her team are securing some sensitive materials, and don't worry about me, you should see the other guy."
She forced a grin as Kimbley glanced back at the state of the intruder.
"We know our way around the armory, so..."
"No, ma'am." Kimbley turned back to the pair.
"The security network has been sabotaged, and we're under orders to detain anyone who's in the corridors without an escort until we can confirm the internal security of the base."
When the sergeant spotted the now thoroughly trussed prisoner being hauled up into a carrying position, he tapped his headset.
"Command, Stardust Labs are secure. Harris and Jenkins are unharmed and the prisoner is in custody. ETA is 2 minutes.
The hand fell from the headset as Kimbley turned to head towards the exit.
"Enfield, Erwin, Mendeleev, you three will escort Harris and Jenkins to the armory, and then deposit the prisoner before returning here. Command wants this lab guarded for the duration of the attack."
One of the security members mentioned hoisted the prisoner onto his shoulders in a fireman carry while the other two motioned for Harris and Jenkins to follow.
"Good luck,"
Kimbley shouted as the security personnel began to take defensive positions in the hallway around the Stardust Lab entrance. The briefing room was packed with both strike and security squad leaders as Bradford emerged at the head of the room.
"Gentlemen, I need not emphasize the seriousness of the situation,"
he stated, and a truer statement could not be found. Bradford was clad in combat armor and had a lank rifle slung over his shoulder with a degree of familiarity that was firmly at odds with the fact that no one in XCOM has ever seen him in action. They were familiar with Officer Bradford, and what they saw before them was something entirely new. The monitor behind Bradford lit up to display the apparent geography of the surface around the XCOM base, which was then flooded with red arrows and dots followed by several images of the alien craft.
"The alien task force is 12 ships total. 2 battleship-class ships, 4 small scout-class ships, 4 large scout-class ships, plus 2 new ships of unidentified class. The first is speculated to be a troop ship. The second appears to be different classes of the scout ships we've previously encountered. Estimated time of engagement is 10 minutes. Skull Squadron has launched and is waiting to engage. Ghost Squadron is 6 minutes from launch. Diamond Squadron's estimated launch time is 12 minutes. National Guard Air Forces are mustering and should be able to reach our location within 30 minutes. National Guard Ground Forces will be longer than that."
Bradford hated the looks that were now on every soldier's face. Gone were the jitters of an impending operation. Gone were the fears and the uncertainty. In its place was fatalism. Calm settled over every soldier in the room as they came to the same realization. They were all gonna die. The only question now was, how long would it take? The display behind Bradford changed to a schematic of the XCOM base, where several areas became highlighted.
Several potential entrance points have been highlighted. The first and most critical point is the Sky Ranger hangar. The first exit from the hangar leads to the Situation Room. I want Strike 5, 3, and 2 entrenched to prevent the breakout there. Strike 4, 7, and 8 will assume positions at the other exit from the hangar to secure the access stairwells and the elevators there. The display view changed to a second set of elevator shafts connected to the surface buildings. The aliens will likely destroy any surface structures they see once the assault begins, but some structures do have cargo elevators that lead down into the base. Strikes 9, 10, it's your job to ensure that they stay secure. If the shafts can't be held down, then you're authorized to destroy them. If it's apparent the shafts are destroyed in the assault, you'll be redeployed to assist the other points of contact.
Bradford caught sight of Harris as he squeezed into the room.
As both Strike 1 and 6 are under strength and Fujikawa is still in recovery, they will form an ad hoc squad under Lieutenant Harris and will support 9 and 10. Base security will join the defense as soon as possible, but they're currently going room by room to confirm the security of the base on personnel.
Wait, why are they doing that, sir?
Lieutenant Weiss of Strike 5 asked.
Internal security systems have been compromised. A bomb was placed in one of the briefing rooms and an infiltrator killed 2 security officers before being subdued by force. A human infiltrator.
Bradford answered bluntly, and the mood of the room switched from stone-faced fatalism to jaws clenched in anger.
Define subdued.
Captain Jarvis spoke next.
Corporal Jenkins assisted with the capture.
Harris answered before Bradford could.
Assisted with extreme prejudice. Focus, people!
Bradford barked to bring attention back to the front of the room.
We now have 8 minutes before contact is made. Get to your assigned post and prepare for defense. Shiv support will meet you at the specified locations. Now move out!
The squad leaders vacated the briefing room, and Bradford slipped in behind Weiss as he gathered up Strike 5. The Situation Room had been transformed from the bustling nerve center of the XCOM operation into a well-prepared kill zone with overlapping fields of fire and metal barricades for easy cover for the 24 soldiers. A quartet of heavily armored ships were also spaced out about the room with their heavy lasers trained on the doors. Bradford found his place at one of the center barricades and made a point of ignoring the looks that the soldiers were giving him.
Ghost Actual, command, launch status?
He asked as he brought up his Lank rifle up and slid a power pack in place.
Command, Ghost Actual. Ghost Squadron is airborne and en route to the rally point. Diamond's crews were ahead of schedule. Anticipated launch for them is approximately 3 minutes.
Bradford checked his watch.
3 minutes.
That gets them in the air just under the gun. He checked the timer before scratching his chin and looked about the room. Soldiers checked and rechecked their weapons and geared to resist the urge to watch their own timers, and more than a few had laid out their spare ammunition or other pieces of miscellaneous equipment for easy access.
Command Engineering.
Shen's voice spoke through Bradford's headset.
Shiv deployment is complete, and all deployed shivs have been upgraded with heavy-duty Roy Eye shields. They should be able to withstand significantly greater degrees of punishment than the Mark I Shiv. Very good, Engineering. So, what's the word on the security systems? Unknown at this point, Commander.
The engineer's tone turned apologetic.
It might be safe to assume that the invaders will make contact before internal security is restored. Command, Diamond Actual, we are airborne and en route to the rally point. Understood, Diamond. You're free to engage with Ghost and Skull as soon as you link up. Target priorities are the troop carrier and the battleships. If they can't be destroyed, then delay them at all costs until reinforcements arrive. Good luck, Diamond. Command out.
Bradford gave another glance at his timer on his wrist.
30 seconds in theory. It's now or never,
he thought as his hand hesitated over the suppressor around his wrist. That hesitation lasted for a handful of seconds before he turned it off. Instantly, his mind was flooded with images of gunfire, blood, and death, and his ears were filled with panic reports from the defenders. Bradford mustered every scrap of his not inconsiderable willpower and attempted to make sense of the chaos for as long as he could before he turned the suppressor back on.
Command to all combat personnel teams. Contact is imminent. Expect mutons, berserkers, chrysalids, and sectoids, and at least one enemy type with shielding. Shielded enemies are priority targets and are heavily armed. Gold-armored mutons will be fielding heavy weapons and alien rocket launchers. Security personnel are to regroup and defend their designated points. The ventilation systems will be compromised shortly, and stealth troops will attempt to infiltrate behind our lines. Call out any new enemy types the moment they're encountered.
The rapid-fire instructions were met with a full second of dead air before the other team leaders acknowledged them. Roland, Harm, Summers, I want rocket launchers ready to fire on the doors the moment they go down. Bradford barked to the 3 soldiers in questions as he pointed to the primary, secondary, and upper-level doors that led into the hangar. Lank and laser weapons are to prioritize shielded targets first. Good luck, gentlemen. Bradford finished as shimmering energy shields appeared in front of the deployed shivs. Contact in 3, 2, 1.
Is this shit for real?
Jack Finch asked as Bradford laid out just what they would be fighting.
How does he know this? How does he know any of it? How the fuck? Finch, zip it and listen to the man.
Lena snapped at Finch before Matt could.
Copy that command,
Matt said reflexively as Bradford finished his briefing.
Finch, get your rocket ready for the elevator doors if they come open or come down. Jenkins, Zhang, you're both on high-value targets, including whatever shielded targets may make themselves apparent.
With little else to do at that point, Matt loaded and checked his own Lank rifle before taking cover behind one of the metal barricades. Strike 1 had been given the duty of protecting one of the secondary cargo elevators, the exact same elevator that Twilight had used to go to the surface with the rest of the Stardust personnel earlier in the month. It wasn't hard for Matt to remember Twilight's expression when she first entered the warehouse on the surface for the first time. Any further memories were interrupted when the energy shields on the 2 shivs assigned to Strike 1 snapped online. Matt leveled his rifle at the elevator doors and did his best to not let his imagination get the best of him as to what was going on to come storming through the door.
Harris, Zhang, they're on the other side of the door. There's something with them that I can't really see, though.
Finch's helmet head was mostly hidden behind a shouldered rocket launcher, but Matt could clearly see the top of it turn to look at Zhang before going back to the door. The center of the elevator doors began to glow with heat. It started as a dull red before quickly becoming white hot. It had just started to melt when Zhang let loose a single shot with his Lank into the door. A second passed before the door exploded violently.
Weapons free!
Finch's reaction time was sharp as a tack. His rocket entered the now gaping hole into the wall and exploded. It was quickly followed by a barrage of laser, Lank, and ballistic fire weapons. The shivs opened up with their heavy lasers, and Mac could feel the sudden increase in air temperature through his clothes and armor. So, when a shape could be seen charging out of the elevator shaft and through the dozens of shots fired, Matt could scarcely wrap his mind around it. Time stopped just long enough for him to get a glimpse at what could have only marched out of a science fiction novel. It was a massive, metal monstrosity. And it would have topped 12 feet in height if it were to extend its reverse joint legs to the fullest. Its arms appeared as little more than stubby armatures carrying 2 of the largest plasma cannons that Matt had ever seen, and its entire body was wrapped in a shimmering blue shield. Laser shots ricocheted off the shield at odd angles, while the purple Lank beam simply disappeared into it, and Matt could only swear he saw the mashed remains of bullets accumulating in its general vicinity. And just as quickly as the moment had frozen in time, it was gone, and the alien walker charged into the room with its cannons blazing. Matt had to resist the urge to swear as a massive plasma bolt struck the metal barricade he was using for cover. That one shot had turned the majority of the barricade white hot, and another would cause it to melt entirely. The others fared little better. Bapella was reduced to burning ashes from a shot to the chest, while Carver from Strike 6 disappeared in a volley of green fire as his cover disintegrated. Yuki, another stray from Strike 6, learned too late of the walker's charge as it vaulted over her barricade and sent her flying across the room with a backhanded swipe of one of its plasma cannons. The walker continued its charge with Matt directly in its path. The last shot of his Lank rifle was absorbed into the shield, which left Matt only one desperate choice.
Stop!
Matt shouted as he thrust one hand forward, and the walker did indeed stop for just a moment. A faint gold aura appeared before clashing with the walker's shields, and it appeared to hesitate before pushing through the aura. One of the plasma cannons rose to swat Matt aside just as easily as it had Yuki, but the blow never came. Both shiv turrets had tracked the walker as it charged, but one rotated on its tracks and sped up to ram it. What the impromptu attack lacked in elegance is more than made up for in effectiveness, as the shiv's heavy chassis connected with the walker's legs and knocked it off its feet. The walker slammed into the wall as it fell, and before it could rise, the shiv had pinned it in place. The heavy laser turret panned down and unloaded at point-blank range, and the walker struggled against the dead weight, pinning it against the wall, but the shield fell, and the lasers began to strike home.
Command, Strike 1. Shielded enemy contacts are mechanized sectoids. Mechtoids.
Matt reported as the Shiv backed away from the now thoroughly mangled mechanical body and no less mangled sectoid pilot. Once confident the mechtoid was well and truly dead, he turned to the elevator shaft and his jaw dropped. While the mechtoid had survived the barrage due to whatever technology had powered its shields, but the others in the shafts, they hadn't fared as well. At least 2 gold armor mutons were in bloody heaps, while the rest of the shaft was littered with the scorched remains of at least a half-dozen chrysalids.
One of the gold ones was preparing a rocket, I think,
Zhang provided as he reloaded his Lank rifle.
I shot the launcher through the door.
Before any other discussion could be had, Bradford cut in through the radio.
Strike 1, command! Disable or destroy the elevator shaft and proceed to B3F East Corridor immediately. The enemy's primary objective is located there, and we cannot let them acquire it.
The sound of gunfire and explosions in the background weren't nearly as alarming as the others that were given.
What about Strike 9 is KIA, and Strike 10 has detonated their elevator shaft and retreated back to the barracks? You need to get to B3F now, Lieutenant! The aliens want what's there, and if they get it, there's nothing that will stop them from shelling the base. Get there now! Carlock, Blake, Finch, Burns, do what you can to disable the shaft, then head to B3F East. Jenkins, Zhang, Romalov, on me!
Matt ordered quickly before turning and running to one of the access staircases at full tilt. Well, that turned from 0 to 100 in intensity real quick. Anyway, I'd like to give a big shout out to my awesome donators. Yoshi Super Saiyan 2, Peter Coulthard, Nicholas Springthorpe, Dospo, David D. Sanchez, Dwight Cornel, Gagi, Secret Moon, ORIAN Pax KAIJU, Starlight Glimmer, Trey, Pokekillerzach, SoulDragon, Dak Britton, and Joe Pearce. Thank you all very much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one.